What's good, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel at Gino Black Official. Today's episode of Music Therapy and Motivation is brought to you by none other than Retired Rockstar. Retired Rockstar is a fashion brand based in LA. They ship worldwide. It's for musicians, creatives, people that are still got it, icon status, over the age of 45 men and women that still got that swag. Retired Rockstar based in LA, shipping worldwide. RetiredRockstarBrand.com. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to another amazing episode of Music Therapy and Motivation. I'm your host, Gino Black. Today, I have the pleasure, and I'm really, really excited to talk to this young lady. She's a singer-songwriter. Her name is Lexi Nguyen, and I'll allow her to introduce herself. How are you doing today?
Hi, everybody. My name is Lexi Nguyen. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. And I'm just super excited to talk about my life experiences, my music, and what it means to be an artist in this day and age. And thanks, Gina, for having me today on your podcast.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. My pleasure. I've been watching your YouTube channel a lot. So I'm a subscriber. I'm a sub, and I try to comment on a few of the videos when they pop up on my feed. One thing I did really noticed immediately was your consistency and making sure that you're out there,
Mm.
posting performances, posting little like TikTok type reels on your YouTube channel and stuff like that. Um, Tell me about where you're from and what it's like, being a live musician there.
Yeah, so I'm basically from the Seattle area here in Washington State, and culturally, my heritage, I'm Vietnamese-American, and I love being a live musician, and it's been so fun, just like doing three things every day. I'd say like practicing for a show, doing vocal warm-ups, um, or even writing songs on my own with my keyboard.
Hmm.
And I mean, I've loved music since I was five. I mean, when We Belong Together by Mariah Carey came out, that really ignited my love for music. And then my mom forced me to do school plays. And then from then
Hmm.
on, I did local open mic nights at my college and my high school. And from then on, I forged my own band with the help of my manager, who's also my dad. Shout out to Dadager. And
Dad,
shout out to dad.
your
Yeah.
dadager.
Oh, yeah. And from then on, we've curated my Lexi Nguyen brand, which is literally pink, as you can see in my background. So
Mhm.
it's just been a whirlwind of just really just like fun things going on with my music career, really, and then new
Hmm.
music coming up soon as well. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. What I did once we set this up, what I did was dive into your music catalog, and
Mm,
I started with the older stuff.
mm,
I think I mentioned that to you when we spoke previously. I wanted to list to where you started or where we started publicly releasing it and into where you are
mm,
now.
yeah.
And one thing I really want to commend you on is the growth. And I look at things like not a transformation. Just as someone who also composes music, I look at just the growth in the songwriting style, maybe the
Mm.
cadence of the song structure, and just your progression. You can hear the confidence in your voice
Oh,
over the
thank you.
years. Going back, I think to a song in 2020 until the most recent song called "Right There."
Yeah.
Right there. That's a dope
Yeah.
cut. That's a dope
Thank
cut.
you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what has it been like from now to then writing and recording music and releasing music, and what has the feedback been for you?
Yeah, so I remember when I did my first song, Floating in Air. This is like one of the first songs I've ever written. And it was at like the
Hmm.
happiest moment in my life because I talked about embracing new beginnings. Like this is when I started my first year of college. Because for me, high school was except for choir, because I
Right.
love singing. And that song is about being in your own authentic light because I always love to tell people at my shows that to never dim your own light to make other people around you feel better about themselves, right? Like it's life is
Hmm.
too short to not be your authentic self. And so floating in air, I had a little bit of influence from Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up. I think you hear that with the toms
That's
in my
classic.
music. Yeah, that's a classic 80s track. And then I showed my producer Tony this song by Mariah Carey called You Don't Know What to Do. And it was it
Hmm.
has like a light, euphoric, happy feel to it. So I was like, can we just blend those two influences together, make it
Hmm.
my own? And he said, sure. And um that's when I wanted to start with like an 80s sound. And then as you can hear, my musical progression has changed a lot because I started to integrate a little more of 80s rock, like with my song You
Right.
Got Me. And then when you hit floating and when you hit fever, that's when it starts to get a little more disco, upbeat,
Hmm.
neo soul R&B. And then right there, which is my current single, my recent one, there's a lot more 90s R&B influence, especially with
Right.
DJ Ruthful does the talk box solo. So
Yeah.
um I feel like lately, right now, my musical phase, it's like I'm really coming back to little me because I grew up listening to a lot of really just a lot of R&B and 80s pop, and I'm
Hmm.
trying to really mesh into that now because I just started with the 80s, but now I feel like I'm starting to come home more into my artistry as
Okay.
each year
Okay.
progresses. Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's definitely some genre bending and variances within the tracks, but I think that's
Yeah.
what's most appealing about it because you can hear the varying differences. So what got you turned on to 80s pop and 90s R&B and stuff?
Yeah. So growing up, my mom, I grew up on the radio. I feel like I'm one of the last
Hmm.
few generations that's just like flung onto the radio for new music. And my mom, she listened to this like 180s radio station here in Seattle. I forgot the name. But they would always play like Madonna, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Prince, Tears for Fears. I remember
I
you and I we
love Test
talked.
for Fears. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about Everybody Wants to Rule the World. That's such a
Yeah.
positive, like feel good
It
song. And
is. It
so
is the feel good song.
yeah. So that really rubbed off on me as a kid. And then my mom, she also really liked 80s rock. Like she would play like AC/DC and Whitesnake
Hmm.
and what's that other band? Kiss? I think they were
Kiss.
in the
Yeah. Gene
yeah.
Simmons
So
and Kiss. Yeah.
Gene Simmons and Kiss. So you can hear a little. I love the electric guitar for that reason because I was so accustomed to
Hmm.
I heard it a lot in the radio as a kid. So it really that instrument to me it has an edge to it, but it gives this sort of like deep passion to the instrument when it
Yes.
plays.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you
So
100%.
yeah, so that's where a shout out to my mom for playing that. And my dad played more of the R&B, like he loves like SWV and Jade and Mariah, and he played Al
Okay.
Green and he played Robin Thicke. My dad loves George Michael, and so when you put mom plus dad, that equals Lexi
Yeah, that's
for
a
my
wide
music.
range, but that's the
Yeah,
best way to be when you can have so much inspiration from multiple genres to inspire
yeah,
yourself from. I think that's the best way to become an artist. And speaking of which, I know some of your live shows you do a lot of covers, but then you do
yeah.
some originals. I've been seeing more of the more recent videos have been a lot more originals, or at least what I've seen.
Yes.
So tell me
Yeah.
about that. Tell me about that performing out. And do you prefer the covers or you just play the covers because
Mm,
that's what the crowd wants and you mix in your own
yeah.
stuff? How does that work for you?
Well, for me, I my formula for building a set list is I always start off with a cover that everybody knows to hook people in because
Hmm.
I know every time I enter into a new festival or new space, nobody's going to know me, right? And
Right.
so it's like, how do I pull them in? Okay, let's do a cover song that everybody knows. So, the last show that I did was the Moonlight Market in the Bothell area in Washington, and we kicked it off with Treasure by Bruno Mars, and that's
Hmm.
everybody knows that song. It's so good. And
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
did it with the guys, and then in between, I start off really upbeat in the first third of my set list, and so I'll add like my original song's Fever, and then I'll add my song right there with DJ Ruthful. And then I like
Hmm.
it in the middle of my shows where it kind of starts to slow down. And that's when I ask
Hmm.
everybody, do you turn on your phone flashlights and just let's just vibe. Just have a
Hmm.
good time. Let's just slow down a little bit and then I ramp it back up with more originals and then I close it off with a cover that everybody knows. So my band and I we close it off with About Damn Time by Lizzo. And
Okay.
everybody always has a good time with that one.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I always integrate crowd participation. So I'm like, everybody say hey, and then they're like, hey, and then
Call and
they're like,
response
hey,
going. Yeah.
yeah. Like it's a good vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. You do seem to love to perform. Um,
I love it. I could do it for
would you
free. I just yeah.
you just love it?
Yeah.
That's great. You got to be passionate about what you do. Would you
Yeah.
say that you love the stage more than the studio, or
Mm.
or does it matter to you? You
Mm.
love them both equally. What does that look like for you?
I mean, I love recording in the studio. I love recording vocals because I can me as a vocalist, one of my favorite things to
Hmm.
do is stacking harmonies
Hmm.
and being creative with that. Like, that's just especially when I delve into more of my own R&B music, I feel like I can do that a lot more. I have a
Hmm.
space for that, but nothing really is as thrilling as being on stage with, especially with my band, um, supporting me in my shows. I think you can hear the vibe. I can hear the vibration of the drums and the guitar and
Right.
just the ambiance, and
The
you can see
energy
the
itself.
energy, right? And the crowd having a good time, because I always tell myself that I'm not performing for myself. It's like I need to give the people always a good show and an experience. Like I want them
Hmm.
to walk away just feeling good about themselves. And
Right.
I preach that with all of my shows. Like, and I always say, as I've said earlier, you can't dim your light to make other people feel better. And I only perform music that emanates a lot of positivity, like Treasure or About Damn Time, covers that are more upbeat. And then I have some special moments where it just gets a little, just a little more slowed down and intimate, but you can still feel the positive vibes. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be a theme within on your website.
yeah.
Like I was talking to you about checking out your website and your branding and stuff about that. Like that, where you have your identity just there. It's all set and sequenced and easy and understand. So if someone wants to partner with you for a brand deal, or if someone wants you to come onto their program, they know exactly what they're going to get. I do love that.
Mm. Thank
So
you. Yeah.
like even now, all the social medias, it's all branded with the same logo, same typeset and everything. I think it's really
Mhm.
important that artists recognize that you have to have all of that stuff in play to be successful, and be consistent with it. And that was one thing that also was impressive, is that you consistently post content.
Thank you so much.
Do
Yeah.
you find that posting that much content is fun, or does it feel like a chore?
I would say it's fun because I don't it's a mindset thing, right? Like, I
Hmm.
believe in what you say, you attract what you say that you are, right? So if I
Hmm.
tell myself it's a chore, it's gonna become a chore. And people, I've learned, when they watch my content, they can pick up on authenticity, or they can pick it
Hmm.
up if it's scripted. People, we're all intuitive beings, creatures,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that's why I feel like you can feel in my content, I don't care. I'm not writing, oh, at 30 seconds I need to say this. It's like I'm just gonna say it
Hmm.
without
Right.
overthinking
Right.
it. Right? Because that's the key to just being yourself. Like, who
Right.
said that, when you were born into this world, that God or the universe gave you a script on how to be? It's like, no,
You just
you
are.
are. You just
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about manifestation as well.
Yeah.
Talk to
Yeah.
me about your how you handle your spirit within that manifestation. Like you talked about
Mm.
what was it, the Phoenix Rising or the Rising of the Phoenix? Talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So honestly, not just in my music, but me in general as a person, I identify with that so much because I look back and I'm like, wow, I have so many different versions of myself, and it's come up to this point where, oh, this is the version of me now, and I couldn't have
Hmm.
get to that point without going through these different versions of myself. And every time I go through a challenge, that's a different version of me. Like, I
Hmm.
remember, uh, I was telling you about how I got the Macy Gray gig,
Right.
and the booker was excited and thought that I was from the Spokane area to do it. And then when I emailed her back, sorry, no, I'm from the Seattle area, she was like, sorry, maybe we'll have to go with somebody else. But I was like, okay, the power of manifestation. I stayed calm, I stayed grounded, and I told my dad, I was like, let's devise and curate a very convincing and compelling email as to why I should open up for Macy Gray. And we sent the email. I stayed relaxed because that's the key of manifesting. You don't want to freak out.
Hmm.
She emails back and she's like, okay, as long as you show up on time for sound check, you're in. And I was like, yeah, but it wasn't like, oh, a sense of relief. It's like I knew that was going to happen
Hmm.
because it's that inner knowing. It's that belief that if you want something, I'm an Instagram bio. I say that I'm a dreamer and I'm a doer because I visualize it, I dream it, I
Hmm.
have the goal in mind, and then I pair it with action. And I feel like that's so important for people to do, especially if you have a career in music, because this career is so nonlinear. It's an entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Say that again. It is definitely non-linear.
Yeah.
And it has to be followed with action as well. That's also the key Also, after
Yeah,
the manifestation, after the goal identification, you do want to put some action with that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the catalog of songs that you've built up so far. Like, tell me a little bit about, say, for
Mm.
example, you mentioned we talked a little bit about right there, and we talked about what was the first one? You're in the video with the flowers. What was it called?
Flowers. Oh, Floating in Air. That's the very
Yeah,
first
floating on
one.
there.
Yeah.
And then you have one where there's a remix to it. What's the name of that song?
Mm.
Fever.
Yeah. Yeah. The one with the remix to it is named Fever.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I like both of
and
those versions.
thank you so much. Yeah, the remix version, I believe it's Afro House. The
Yeah,
producer did
yeah.
it. Yeah. And then Fever is an eclectic mix of a bunch of genres. You hear a bit of 80s pop in the pre-chorus, and then
hmm
um the beat is disco, and then there's R&B and neo soul. And I remember I actually worked on that song with producer Ben James in Vietnam when I was 16 years
hmm
old. And that was actually the first song I've ever recorded and made, like co-wrote with somebody.
hmm
And I didn't release it until last summer. And funny enough, I actually decided to keep my 16-year-old vocals. So those are actually my 16-year-old vocals
Oh
on that.
wow.
Yeah, fun fact. And my other songs, Being and Becoming, that's you saw the music video with the projectors,
Yeah.
my family
Yeah,
members.
I was gonna mention that one. Yeah. Talk a little bit about
Yeah,
that video. That was a very,
yeah,
very poignant video. It kind
yeah,
of showed you and your heritage and your family kind of with the montage behind you. You had on traditional attire. Talk a little bit
yeah.
about that video and what that video meant to you.
Yeah, that video is so special to me because Being and Becoming, I wrote that song when I co-produced this Vietnamese culture show at my college, and I asked the Vietnamese club that I was a part of. I was like, "Could I write a jingle for this?" And they were like, "Sure." And the theme of the culture show is called "Being and Becoming," and so it's like, okay, how do I tie it to my personal experience, but also to a lot of other Vietnamese people, their experience? And I wrote about two perspectives. One perspective is about me being Vietnamese and American and how to balance those identities.
hmm
And the second perspective is like, people that have migrated from Vietnam to here. And I specifically talked about when my family had to escape the Vietnam War in the early 70s and
hmm
adapt to the American culture here and the trials and tribulations that came with that. So, but then when those two perspectives come together, it's like, what do we share? A love for our culture, our family, our food, our community, and our way of living. And I put that into my music video, and it was just so special to me to wear my it's called Ao Dai. It means like long Vietnamese traditional dress. And then
hmm
you can see my family members behind because I love my family, and
Yeah, yeah.
family is a big thing in my culture. And I actually wore a yellow Ao Dai and a red one because the Vietnamese flag has red and yellow in it to
Okay.
represent. So, yeah.
Okay. And then you had two younger siblings in the video, right?
Yeah, my younger brothers, their names are Lucas and Liam, so we're all L's.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Shout out to those guys.
yeah.
And what is your when you're putting together that obviously that one comes from a deep rooted inspiration for that one. But
Mhm.
typically what's a songwriting session like for you? What inspires you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I I own this 1980s Yamaha keyboard that actually used to be my grandpa's because growing up
hmm
he would learn a bit of the keys. So that was passed on to me. So that holds a special place in my heart.
hmm
So step one, I create a melody on it. I'm like, okay, what's a good chord progression? I'll use Floating in Air as an example. I wrote it when I was 19. So at the time, I was in one of the happiest moments in my life. I just started college because school was
Yeah.
okay, but
Right,
choir
right,
was
right.
there to get me by.
Right.
And I was like, okay, these chords remind me of happiness. Okay, how do I feel happy? I feel like I'm floating in air. So I wrote the hook. And then after I wrote the
hmm
hook, I wrote the verse, the pre-chorus, the bridge. That came together. And then step two, I went on to Ableton Live 10 and I recorded the piano demo on MIDI. And then I did another layer where I did my demo vocal on top of it. And then I sent it to my producer, Tony, at the time. And then I'm the type of artist where I'm like, I love to be hands on with the production. So I'm kind of kind of a co-producer in a way, come in and
Mhm.
I'm like, "This is what I want. This is what I want it to sound like," and then that's how a song of mine comes to fruition. I always follow that process every time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Has there been any since you put together your band, has there been any new songs that come out of just rehearsals with the band or jam sessions with the band or anything like that?
That's a great question. Not yet, but it's funny when I think the guys one of my favorite keys in music is C sharp.
Mm.
If you're familiar with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that key. I believe a couple of my songs are in that key, like Fever. Um,
Mhm.
and I remember one day when we were rehearsing, they were just playing that, not any of my original music, but they were kind of riffing off some chords in that key.
Mhm.
And I just started to like hum along and I was like, wait, guys, like I could write something to this, but we never finished it.
Go.
So
Okay.
it was one of those more fun impromptu.
Gotcha. Well, something may come of it. I've
Yeah.
been in different sessions where different, songs actually do bloom out of just people messing around in between actual song rehearsals and stuff like that. So I was asked to see if it happens to anybody else. Um,
Mm, yeah.
you had mentioned earlier talking about your identity and balancing between American and Vietnamese heritage. Can you talk a little bit about that? What that's been like for you?
Yeah. So growing up, I mean, I came from a predominantly white elementary school, middle school, and high school. So, and honestly, every time I was in a classroom, I was only one of the 2 or 3 Asians, and the rest were Caucasian. So it at times felt kind of isolating. I didn't feel like I found my sense of community and friendship. I only had one friend growing up
Mm,
until I was 10, and then I made like a small group of friends.
hmm.
Because still to this day, I believe in quality friendship over quantity.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. And I remember one day in elementary school, like my mom made me like Vietnamese food and I brought it to lunch and my classmates are like, why does it look like that? Why does it smell like that? And I was like, because I eat it at home.
Mm,
It's a normal thing for me, but for them it's
right.
not. And I just felt kind of alienated a little bit because of that. Um, and it made me feel like, oh, being different in a way was not okay. And then
Mm,
for me as a woman growing up, beauty standards back then was like, oh, if you don't have blonde hair and blue eyes, you're not pretty. And so from that perspective, I felt a little isolated as well. I felt
mm,
average overall.
right.
But shout out to my mom. My mom would every year she'd actually make my brothers and I wear our Vietnamese traditional outfits for Lunar New Year because we celebrate that in my culture.
Mhm,
And we, for good luck to spread good karma, we always give out red envelopes called lisi. And I actually would give it to all of my classmates and my teachers would actually give me the platform, be like, "Hey, Lexi, come up in front of the class and talk about
mhm.
it." So every year I'd always look forward to that because that's when be I would be given that space to actually
Kinda shine.
express my roots. Um,
Now,
because
what are the
growing
red envelopes called again?
Lacey, yeah,
They say, okay.
Lacey, yeah. Good pronunciation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And then I felt like my classmates, they were a little more, I guess, aware. Majority
Mhm,
were more accepting and aware, like when I hit middle school, because that's when the DEI like integration
mhm,
educational aspect came into classrooms and started to talk about it. And then
mhm.
growing up, I would get like, oh, they would assume my race. They're like, "Oh, are you Chinese?" Like, they would only say that,
Right.
or and I'm like, "No, I'm Vietnamese," and they're like, "What's that?" And it's like, "Oh, okay. Well, we gotta get you educated, you know?"
Mhm,
Um, so yeah, I had a very unique experience growing up, and I feel like still to this day, as a young Vietnamese-American woman who's, I'm 25,
mhm.
um, I still have some moments where I walk into spaces where I feel, uh I guess I still feel proud of who I am, but then,
Right.
sometimes it could feel a little isolating. Yeah,
That happened from the time you were small, and it still occasionally happens now. And
occasionally,
so
yeah, but
how do
yeah.
you cope with it when it happens?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it ties back to the manifestation thing, like just really focusing on my own energy and my own light. And
Mhm,
I haven't I'm thankful these past few years, I haven't really gotten any racial slurs or anything like that, but, like,
Mhm.
sometimes when I feel like you can relate to this, when you walk into a room, sometimes
You can feel the shift.
you can feel the shift, you can feel people's heads turn, like, "Oh, she's different," or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Does that intersect with your music at all?
Mm, I would say not really. I feel like when I'm doing my music, I feel like I don't need to say that I'm Vietnamese American. Like I feel like my music
Mhm,
speaks for my identity itself, especially my song Being and Becoming.
mhm.
But in terms of me as a person outside of my career, sometimes I have to tell people that I'm not Chinese. Or like, we
Oh,
can't
man.
people
Right,
still assume, they're like, "Are you
right.
this?" And I'm like, "No, I'm Vietnamese." And then they're like, "Oh, is it you have what's the dish? Pho?" I was like, "Pho?"
Mm.
That and yeah,
It we navigate as we can.
absolutely, yeah, but
One situation by situation, yeah.
absolutely, but I'm grateful though, I'm grateful where I came from, grateful the values that my family raised me to
Mhm,
have instilled in me, the importance of
mhm,
family, the importance of expressing my heritage.
mhm,
Um, and I also talk about this too with my friends. Like, there's not many Asian artists here actually in the local Seattle area. There's only
mhm.
4 to 5 others, and it's predominantly actually Seattle. We're known for rock.
Right, right.
I think Nirvana,
Yeah, Nirvana.
right? Nirvana, Jimi Hendrix,
Yeah.
right?
The
So
entire '90s
the
grunge scene.
entire 90s grunge
Yeah.
scene. It's still like
Mhm.
that today, actually, but
Yeah.
they're starting to have a bit more of that R&B trickle and a little more of that pop
Mhm,
sound, but it's still a uphill
mhm.
battle in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how does that affect, how often you get to play out in different venues and things of that in that area?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I remember there's this venue in Seattle called the El Corazon, and
Mhm,
they asked me to do a show there. And my dad and I, we always do research ahead of time to see like what's the vibe, what's the demographic, what kind of music do they like, and we saw it's literally just rock.
mhm.
And my dad said, if you were to do a show there, Lexi, you would be swallowed whole because it's not because you're bad, it's just because you're not for them. So my
Right.
dad and I,
It's
we
the
don't
wrong audience.
wrong audience. I don't want to waste my time playing for a crowd that's just not gonna really
Respond. Yeah.
respond to it and potentially appreciate what I have going on.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
We talked a little bit about, just how you would, um, inspire young women. We talked a
Mhm.
little bit about that, and I think that piece got cut. So tell me, because when we talked briefly, and this was not earlier today, but when we talked briefly last week,
Mm,
whenever it was, you talked about a young woman that kind of like looked up to you and saw you performing and said she was happy to see you or something along
oh,
those lines.
yeah.
When you encounter stuff like that, how do you share when you only have a short window of opportunity and say a young girl, she hears your song, she sees you perform on stage, but maybe you have a few minutes off stage to make an impact. How
Mm,
do you relay what the light that's inside of you, that rising phoenix, that manifestation, that attitude of doing the work? And how do you relay that to her? What would you say to a young lady that's, probably listening to the podcast now or watching on YouTube? What would you say to her about getting her
yeah.
confidence and finding her footing and,
Yeah, that's a
in your own words, of course.
yeah, that's a great question. I would honestly tell that little girl, okay, write down in your very special notebook, like if if she's pursuing this music career, same thing as me,
Mhm.
write down why did you start in the first place? And have that bookmarked with like a pink, well, personally for me, I'd use pink, but
Mhm.
any colored bookmark you want, save it in a special place in your room. And then every single time you go through challenges because this music career, it's not going to be easy all the time. It's so nonlinear.
Mhm.
Um, if you miss a note while you're singing, if you play this chord and the piano wrong on stage, okay, you made a mistake, right? And
Mhm.
we're going to be hard on ourselves for human. Like, let yourself feel that, hold space for that, but then don't sit in that for too long. Like, overcome that and then learn from me, like, how can I be better? Because for me, I always rewatch my previous performance video. Shout out to my dad. My dad films all of my performances and then see how I could be better in the process. That's the
Yes.
metaphor of the rising phoenix. And then I would tell that little girl, pair what you're dreaming about, the goals in your music career, with doing. To be the dreamer and the doer, do both. Because when you
Hmm.
script and you write out exactly, I want this gig, I'm going to show up at this exact right time. This is what I'm wearing. This is how many people are going to be in the crowd. This is how they're going to feel in my show. This is how they're going to walk away from my show. And then pair it with action. Okay, if you have a manager, like my dad's my manager, we'll be like, okay, let's
Hmm.
email the booker. Let's curate like a video or EPK as to why I should be an opener for their show.
Hmm.
Pair that with that, and that's why, for example, that's how I got my gig at Capitol Hill Block Party because of that reason.
Hmm.
You have to be very specific about your goal and then go for it. And then, yeah, I would
Yes.
tell the little girl, like, bring that inner child joy. Don't forget little you as you grow up into this career. I think sometimes for me, now at 25, I forget um, that joy. And sometimes I can be like, oh, I need this song to be perfect. I need to sing perfectly. It's like, no, art is art because it's imperfect. What I'm doing,
Absolutely.
right? Like, I think,
Absolutely.
sorry, I'm going to segue into this, but this is going to be a great conversation for you and I. The AI,
Oh,
AI making
yeah.
music. Yep, right. That's a big topic in the
Oh
music
man.
community.
Man, man,
Yeah,
man,
let me
man,
tell you.
man, man, man. Man, man, man.
Yep. Yep, you can say that again.
What are your thoughts on the AI?
I don't like it. I don't like it. I will say, I will admit, I have used ChatGPT only to the extent of, can you just spit out 20 song ideas and then I'll write a
Hmm.
song. But I will never ask AI to produce a song for me. I will never ask AI to write a song for me. I think it's
Right.
ridiculous. And there's a, if you know Charlie Puth, he's like very
Hmm.
popular musician,
Yeah.
and he actually did a TikTok, and he said AI can never can recreate imperfections in music. AI is going to try to make a song perfect.
Right.
And I believe Charlie Puth was talking about Kanye West's song "Stronger," and the
Hmm.
beat, the kick they don't actually hit perfectly every
No,
time.
it
That's what
doesn't.
makes a song so good.
Yeah. The
But Charlie,
imperfections.
yeah, and then Charlie Puth said but if AI tries to do a song like that, the kick is just gonna sound a little too boxed in, like
Hmm.
it's gonna hit the same thing every time. So, and plus AI can never recreate, because art at the end of the day is expressing life experiences and different varying emotions that we all experience in our
Right.
lives. AI
Right.
can never
Capture the
recapture that.
emotions, the little
Yeah.
nuances in the
Yeah.
song that
Yeah.
make it special. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
ton of classic albums that are imperfect. If you listen to
Yes.
them, you can hear certain cuts and certain splices and certain bad riffs and little bad notes, but the albums still stand as classics. So
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
agree with you on that. The imperfections are what make certain things so beautiful, 100% of the
Absolutely.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I like what you brought up about, because I know back then, like, a lot of musicians did a lot more live tracking. Like, you can hear the
Hmm.
actual drums, you can hear when they're
Right.
recording the guitar. Um, Now I guess, like, with Ableton or FL Studio, like, it's okay to, do the MIDI, but
Yeah.
actually for my EP, we did a lot more live tracking of bass
Yeah.
and guitar. So
Yeah.
um it's just, you can't take away that naturalistic part of music.
You cannot. You cannot. And what I tend to do when I'm creating music and composing songs, I'll make the general basic tracks myself, and then I'll play the guitar parts that I need to play, or I'll play some of the percussion parts. But then I'll get some other session musicians to come in
Yeah.
and really add in the live bass lines and the additional instrumentation that I want there. But I'll come with the basic track of this is what I want with the preliminaries on there, as well as I can play. I'm not going to volunteer to play solo guitar on stage in front of anybody, but I can play good
Yeah.
enough to record some tracks.
Yeah.
So also tell me, other than the threat of AI, how do you feel about your place in terms of, like, I know you love Mariah Carey. We
Yeah.
know that you had a great experience opening up for Macy Gray.
Mhm.
Like with some of your contemporaries that you came up listening to, how do you fit into the marketplace right now? Like, tell me, say I'm in the elevator and somebody says, "Hey, you need to check this young lady out. She's brilliant." What's the
Mm,
30-second elevator pitch to your world?
yeah, I would say, hi, I'm Lexi Nguyen. I'm a Vietnamese-American artist. There's not many Vietnamese-American artists right now publicly pursuing this. Um, my music talks about being the metaphorical rising phoenix, coming from struggle, coming from any challenge in your life and overcoming that and transforming and alchemizing the process, all while being yourself, being your own authentic light. And around that sonically, my music is a blend of 80s pop, R&B, funk, disco, neo soul, and I put that together. And so my music is fun, but it's also uplifting and vulnerable.
Mm. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Now
Thank
tell
you.
me, you mentioned, overcoming and able to be strong and vulnerable at the same time. What's a difficult time that you had to overcome that, was
Mhm.
kind of a down period for you and you just had to get through it, get over it, get under it, go through it, all of the above? You care to share
Yeah.
anything like that along the
Yeah.
way? Along the struggle is real for some people, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. Let me tell you, I got a couple. I got a couple. I would say, yeah. So I did a festival at Seattle like a couple years ago, a couple summers ago, and it
Hmm.
was for their Seafair Festival. And the Seafair Festival is a big umbrella of different sub festivals. So I was at the sub festival,
Hmm.
and I was really excited for it. The booker asked me to do a 15-minute performance just with backing tracks, and I show up and thought I was gonna have a sound check, but the booker's like, "Okay, you're on next," and I was like,
Uh,
"What? That's crazy." But
is
I'm a professional.
you were performing with tracks, so maybe he thought that you
Yeah,
just plug and play. Is that
yeah, pretty
that
much.
that's
Yeah,
still a horrible assumption.
it is horrible because I need to be like, "Is the mic?" Because you
Right.
need to lower the backing track or up it, mic low so I didn't get any of that, and I was like, "Okay, I'm a professional, I'm not gonna run away, we got this," and I thought the monitors were gonna be at least facing towards me. Nope, they were
Hmm.
faced away from me, so
Oh
the whole
no.
time I was singing and I couldn't even hear myself at all,
Mm.
and but the crowd looked like they were vibing. I was like, "Okay,
That's the
okay."
worst when you can't hear yourself if you're
Yeah,
on in time with the music. That's the
yeah.
worst.
It's the worst, but I don't I will admit I could hear the backing track faintly. So at least I
Uh-uh.
was, like, tapping my toe. I was like, "Okay,
Okay. Okay.
there's a bit of that," but I didn't hear my vocals at all. And so I started to get really into my head. I was like, "Oh, no, Lexi, you messed up." And then my dad showed me the clip, and I made, like, 4 mistakes, like, my voice cracked, and then
Hmm.
which that never happens for me, and then I was a little flat there, a little sharp there, I was like, "Oh, no." And so I let myself, like,
Get
be
worked
in this,
up.
like yeah, get worked up, I have to, 'cause the
Hmm.
worst thing you can do is hold it in, and after I let myself, digest it, I was like, "Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, Lexi, what did you learn from this?" Okay, because every previous gig that I've done, I was so used to, "Oh, okay, yeah, Lexi, here, we got sound check for you." So I was, naturally assimilated to that every single
Right.
time,
Right.
and so I thought this was gonna be the case for this gig, but no, I was just, like, thrown in.
Thrown in there.
Thrown in it. So, I debriefed with my dad, and we both agreed, like, next time we should email the booker, always double check that there is a sound check for you, and so,
Yeah.
now it's a force of habit for me, even though my dad's like, "Oh, they're gonna have it for you." It's like, "No, we
No,
have
you
to
have to
ask."
get it in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was a big learning lesson for me, and then another struggle I went through was I did an open mic night at my college. I was 22, and I did a song with while playing the piano, and I
Hmm.
messed up on a couple chords, and I was like, "Oh, oh no," and I got into my head again, and after that performance, I went home. I didn't even touch my piano for, like, a week because I was just so, like I was like, "Am I gonna mess up again?" And then I was like, "Okay." Took a step back. I reflected. I was like, "What did you do wrong?" "Ah, okay. I was focused too much on my singing because I singing while playing an instrument, it's a balance. It's a
Yes.
dance.
Yes.
You
Yes.
have to
Yes.
do you have to be like, "Okay, once the vocals are locked into good, it's kind of like, are you on tempo with the voice? Is your
Right. Right.
voice
Right.
on time with your instrument?" So I was thinking, and then it's a multitasking thing because I have to express what I'm singing. Like I can't look like bored
Like you're
while doing it.
concentrating.
Yeah, like that concentrated face. I'm like,
Yeah.
so it's that's performing is such a multitasking type of art form. So
Mhm.
I did all that. It's just I focus on everything else, but less on the piano. So I was like, okay, I need to. So it taught me how to balance out a bit more of that. So now my live shows, it's rare to see me play the keys, but when I do, like
Mhm.
it's I try to balance that out. So and I remember I think you and I were talking about this where did the crowd notice my mistake? No.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
crowd barely ever notices when a performer messes up.
Oh yeah.
Unless it's like a big, big mess up.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
just keep going and rolling with it, half the time they
Yeah.
don't even know.
Yeah, I for me, I just keep going. That's the thing. I look back at that video and I think I got like one chord wrong. And
Mm.
it was actually still within the key of the song. So
Well, we are
to
our
their
own
ear,
worst critics. And then,
yes, we
as
are.
you mentioned, you go back and you look back at the video footage like an athlete,
Yeah.
uh, because as musicians, you're working, you are an athlete, really. You got to make
Yes.
sure that you have your breath control right. You have to make sure that you have your cardio right if you're an active performer.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. Tell me about um, a time where maybe you had a little bit of self-doubt about the music,
Mm,
other than the two bad situations there, like something that maybe you were just personally going through something,
yeah, self-doubt about music. I
or
mm,
self-doubt about yourself in general.
that's a good question. I would say when I released Fever because I or before I like was planning on publicly releasing it because I've had that song in the back burner for years. Like I think I
Hmm.
told you I have my 16-year-old vocals on there. I
Yeah,
made that
yeah.
song with um producer Ben James in Vietnam when I was 16. So
Hmm.
and at the time I wasn't familiar with like what are royalty cuts, what's publishing rights, what's song what
Right.
what's master rights. So and then when I released Floating in Air, I started to educate myself on it and then with Fever, I was like, I look back, I was like, I should have released that first, right? Lexi, you should have done that because that was the first song you made.
Yeah.
And now looking, so there's a bit of self-doubt with that. And then I was like, well, are people gonna notice that it's my 16-year-old vocals? Are they gonna call that out? Is it a regret?
Hmm.
And see, with you and with a lot of people I've noticed, they don't notice. Um,
Oh, I didn't notice.
yeah, so but I looking back, I'm glad that I actually released it last year. I believe in divine timing and how things are
Hmm.
meant for you at the right place, right time. And it's even though Fever, I was in a 16-year-old state of mind,
Hmm.
it's in a way it shows my sonic progression as an artist,
Yes,
funny enough,
yes, yes.
despite making that in 2017. Um, so I'm glad that I actually released it last year. So yeah.
Yeah. That's Fever's the one with the remix, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
We did talk about a little bit about your family coming over from Vietnam during the
Yeah.
war. We did
Mm,
talk a bit about your experiences growing up and kind of being the only one of a few Asian Americans also in the class.
mm.
You mentioned something about being inspired one day because of the first start of college. What'd you go to school for? What'd you study?
Yeah, I actually studied business administration marketing, which is so fitting for what I'm
Yes,
doing. And
absolutely.
the only reason I got into it was literally because of my music career. Like that's the only reason why I chose it. And yeah, sure. My parents were like, "Well, why didn't you study like, vocal performance or music production?" Those are things I can always do in my own time, but I felt like with
Exactly. Yeah.
marketing and business, it's so important to have because I'm not just a musician, I also consider myself a young businesswoman. I have to put on that hat every single time I have a business
Hmm.
meeting with my dad. And I guess a bit of that marketing gene from my dad like rubbed off on me because even though he studied electrical engineering, he actually self-taught himself marketing. And
Hmm.
so he's done it for 30 years. He's done the many entrepreneurship endeavors. And so
Right.
I really, it's just my dad and I were always just on it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I was curious about that. I forgot to ask you that previously. What did you
Yeah.
study? And it's actually evident in the work. I love it because, like I say, a lot of artists fail to realize that they are a business. Uh,
Yeah.
you're starting a band together. You guys got a band agreement. You start doing business.
Yeah.
Marketing. You are just as much a marketing agency as you are a management agency these days. When you're a part of an artist team. I like what you guys are doing. I really, really, really like it. Been listening to the music. I've been turning some other people on to your music.
Oh, that's so
Um,
nice. Thank
yeah,
you.
that's why I asked, what's the elevator pitch? So I'll act like you
Oh,
when I'm telling somebody next time.
hey, I love that. I love that. Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff.
I love all my haters. This isn't just fashion, it's a movement. At Retired Rockstar, we turn hate into fuel, proof you're living loud and staying legendary. Featured here is musician Gino Black, rocking the I Love All My Haters limited drop and the G-Shades collection. Tap in and join the movement at retiredrockstarbrand.com. For a limited time, all trucker hats 25% off, and all OG logo tees are just $19.99. Retired rock star. Live loud. Stay legendary.
All right. You were just answering the question. You were talking about putting together the band.
Yeah. So yeah, I think as I was saying, I think the first show I did with my band was at my
Hmm.
college, and it was so special and a full circle moment because I used to do open mic nights at my college, and so now doing it with my full band and doing my original music
Hmm.
to my peers that I'm very familiar with was just special, and that's why I got opportunities like Capitol Hill Block Party and opening for Macy Gray because my dad
Hmm.
recorded clips of us at my college
Hmm.
and sent it out to as many shows, festivals, applications as possible. Um, so yeah, if we didn't do
Team
that,
Lexi.
yeah, Team Lexi, yeah.
That's good stuff. That's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I do love the work ethic. I can't stress that enough. I love the work ethic behind the talent.
Thank you.
Because a lot of times, like my background, I'm an artist and a composer as well. I compose
Oh,
music as
nice.
well,
Yeah.
and I'm an artist part time sometimes.
Mm,
But I work in artist management, and I have a small boutique label, and we do different label services for different independent artists and other smaller labels.
yeah.
So I come from the background of just being a performer and going on the road and doing the shows with the band and stuff like that. So I do know the road that you're on. What I like though is you keep a good disposition. Like even in like some of the stuff that I see your posts and your shorts and things, you keep that good energy out there. And I think
Thank you.
that's kind of what'll continue to help you grow and captivate people. What do you think about? No, I was talking about with the new song out right there. It's a pretty
Ah,
dope track, and I was saying from right there, what's your next year look like? What's on the plans of releases, of performances? Where do you see yourself going over the next course of the next year?
yeah, great question. I have actually been working on my debut EP with my music producer, Josh Hill. We've been doing
Hmm.
it since May. So we're actually almost at the mixing and mastering stages of it. And I'm really excited about that one because I won't give away too much, but all I can say is it talks about empowering things,
Hmm.
everything I've gone through in my life. And it's a 5 song EP and it's very cohesive and it's a lot of genres that I grew up listening to. I'll just say that. So I'm very excited
Okay.
about that project.
So 5 songs, solid.
Yeah,
Okay.
solid.
And
Yeah.
you worked on it since May, and it's at the mixing master stage. So it's all
Yes.
cut and just putting a polish on it.
Pretty much. Yeah. I
Okay.
just have to today I just have to record the final few vocals for it, just the background vocals, but
Sounds exciting.
yeah.
Are there going to be any other singles coming out before that release, or
I I'm planning to. I'll just say that. I like to keep things
keep it a surprise? Okay. Keep it in the
surprise.
tuck, as we say.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't want to give away too much, but all I can
Gotcha.
say is there will be more music before the EP. So
Hmm.
yeah.
And then what are your plans in terms of getting to a place where you and your band go on the road, like touring and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. My goal right now, I'm putting it out there in the universe, and it's great to put it on your podcast. You're all about positivity here.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
I'd love to open up for a bigger artist. My dad and I, emailing. We've been at it almost every day, emailing a lot of different
Hmm.
artists to open up for. Haven't got it yet, but I know that I will in the divine right timing. Because I
Yes.
believe that you receive things when it's meant for you at the right time. So
Hmm.
I'm very hopeful about that. I'm not feeling discouraged, and I know it will happen next year.
It will happen. It will happen on God's time. I definitely believe that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you about because I always like to share my own clips with people and say, you see, I'm not the only one that spends
Yeah.
days making contact, trying to make connections. And like you mentioned,
Mm,
you're sending emails out, you're sending emails out. You guys send me
yeah.
an email. So I
Yes.
know I know you're doing the work. So
Yeah.
talk to me a little bit about because I always try to leave artists, obviously I don't have to tell you this, you're already doing it, but sometimes the artist comes on or I'm just interacting with an artist for business and outside of the podcast and they don't understand how to treat their music career like a business,
Mm,
meaning you have to put in the work, you have to put in the hours, you have to put forth the effort, and you have to follow through and follow up. You mentioned sending out all the emails, trying to make sure that you're making your presence aware, you're creating awareness of yourself, you're showing people. What I really liked, you've got your media kit up, your electronic press kit.
yeah.
Went through the website. Everything's cool. I really love the fact that you had a section in there for branding and why they should partner with you and things like that. A lot of artists miss that whole boat.
Mm, yeah.
Talk a little bit about
Yeah.
how you and your dadager, got that all together and you presenting yourself like a package, like a product, like a, not we're not a product, but you are a brand.
Yeah. I mean, well,
The music
technically, if
is the
you
byproduct, yeah.
absolutely, maybe if you want to talk about being a product, like my dad, he's done business and marketing for 30 plus years. He has
Hmm.
experience doing different entrepreneurship endeavors. So my
Hmm.
dad knows. But I'm just really grateful for that because I'm grateful to have somebody in the family that I can lean on because sometimes
Hmm.
trust in this music industry can be kind of rare depending on who you surround yourself with,
Absolutely.
right? So I think honestly, a big part of my success really is my dad, because his knowledge and business expertise is
Hmm.
just unparalleled to none. Um, and I remember I told my dad, I was like, I finally need help. I was like, Dad, I can't do this by myself. This was
Hmm.
like think 2023. And I
Okay.
said, Dad, I need a website. I need a brand. Like I was kind of all over the place.
Hmm.
And my dad, the first question he asked me, he's like, what's your favorite color? And I was like, oh, pink, as you see in my wall.
Right.
And my dad's like, okay, your website's going to be pink. That's going to be your focal brand. When people think of Lexi Nguyen, they're going to think of the color pink, especially in the local music scene here.
Hmm.
So, and my dad's like, next, like, what's your mission statement? He's like, okay, well, like I said earlier, talking about being the rising phoenix, talking about overcoming challenges. I'm a big
Hmm.
advocate for mental health. I'm a big advocate for manifesting, divine timing, um, standing in your own authentic light. And I was like, okay, perfect. That's gonna be in your website. And my dad asked, is that in your music? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, perfect. Okay, what's your look? And then my dad's like, well, I don't know fashion. That's up to you. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, I love pink, so I'm gonna put that with almost every performance outfit. Like if you take a look at my Instagram,
Hmm.
my goal is like the first thing people say, oh, pink.
Absolutely.
So, and even in my fonts, like on shorts, if you watch on YouTube, every time I do
Hmm.
like a caption on top, it's pink most of the
Hmm.
time. And then my dad said you should have secondary colors. So there's like purple, white, a little bit of black,
You
a
got a
little bit
mood
of
board.
blue, a mood board. Yeah,
Yeah.
because one thing I've learned about in this music business is you have to what my dad always says, what is the reason why people want to be fans of Lexi Nguyen? And it's like it's the same thing. Like if you want to step into Ariana Grande's world or Mariah Carey's world, they already built a world for their fans to step into because music is
Exactly.
escapism. And my dad and I agreed that my world is like pink, optimistic, happiness, but there's a little bit of there's that vulnerability aspect. I'm very honest
Hmm.
as a person. And I talk about heartbreak and all of those more sad, vulnerable emotions. So I keep it real with pink, touch of pink. That's how I would describe my brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that, and it's evident in the website and the work. So hats off to him. He's a smart guy. That's
Yes,
kind of
yes.
what I do for other artists too. I put together their whole branding package and do
Yeah.
everything you just described. That's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me, you had mentioned in addition to the manifestations and it being a kind of a beacon of positivity, you had mentioned mental health. How does that intersect with you and your thought process and some of the messages that you put in the music and stuff as far as mental health?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly I grew up around family members that have uh they're on the autism spectrum, they have
Hmm.
ADHD, ADD. Like I told you earlier, my grandfather, he had Alzheimer's disease
Hmm.
and I've dealt with that, and then he also passed away 10 years ago. So I've dealt with grief. I think we've all dealt with
Mm.
grief in one form or
Yeah.
another. And I haven't released music publicly yet that talks about those things, but I've written about that and I love to go to that place. And every single time, see, I think I did this YouTube short a long time ago, 5 years ago, really, but
Hmm.
there's somebody online that was talking about how one of their siblings has a hard time in school because of they have autism. And my brother went through the same
Hmm.
thing in school. And as the older sister, I'm very protected. Like if somebody, does my brother wrong,
Right, right.
I will tell them in a respectful way. um, So I remember talking about that like many years ago, and I was surprised. Like I got like I think, like 15 comments, and people like, "Wow, like I'm going through this too with my sibling. I just didn't know how to
Hmm.
approach it." So um, that's something that I want to tap into more in my music, and you'll definitely hear that in my upcoming releases in 2026 for sure. I think I touch a little bit of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, awesome. One last thing I have. I watched one of the older videos, but it was another Vietnamese pop star whose song you had sang.
Oh,
Uh, it was a
where was
really
this at?
it was an older
Actually,
video, but you sang a song, and I guess it was a cover, and then it got recognized by a really famous pop singer.
Oh, yes, K-pop, Korean. Is that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Tiffany?
yeah. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
K-pop. Yeah.
no worries. Yeah. Yeah. I so there's this famous girl group in South Korea called Girls'
Hmm.
Generation. They're considered like the Destiny's Child of South Korea.
Hmm.
And my favorite member from that group, her name's Tiffany, and
Hmm.
she's actually from the Bay Area in California. So I really related to her from that aspect of being Asian American.
Right.
And she was that inspiration and example for me, right, moving forward in my music career. So I posted a cover just on a whim, and I didn't think I thought I sounded kind of okay, but whatever. I was like 18 at the time. We're different now. We've progressed.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
um, and the team at Glamour Magazine actually DMs me and they're like, "Hey, Lexi, we would love to interview you to be one of her featured fans. We have to ask you questions. You're going to be an article." But my intuition, I had a small inkling that Tiffany reacted to my cover of her song.
Hmm.
And the funny thing was, I saw Tiffany in concert in Seattle. I was like at the front row.
Hmm.
And I did this interview with this lady from Glamour Magazine the very next day after the concert. And I was wearing my Tiffany t shirt, I think, as you saw in the video. And
Hmm.
um, she's like, "Actually, Lexi, check your email." And I see in the email thumbnail that it's Tiffany, and I see it's my face, and I'm like, "There's just no way." And I press play, and that's when you see my reaction in that video.
Hmm.
And I was just stunned that I actually had that happen to me. And back then I wasn't really tapped into my spirituality or manifesting, but I remember writing in my notebook like 2 years prior that I would love to interact with Tiffany somehow. I didn't care
Hmm.
what it was, and then it
Right.
manifested into that.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything that it didn't cover that you wanted to cover or that you
Oh,
wanted people to know about you?
oh. Um, let's see. Yeah, honestly, I think I don't really talk about this much, but I think it needs to
Let's
be
talk about
said.
it. Let's talk
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, I there's a term that's been going around on TikTok of being the oldest daughter or being the oldest sibling in your family, and how much how that role is so it just shapes you for life
Hmm.
in the best ways, sometimes in the most flawed ways, in the most hurtful ways. I'm the oldest daughter and I have two younger brothers. So growing up from that perspective was just so interesting looking back. Like I was considered the good kid in my family.
Hmm.
And so naturally I felt like I had to live up to that. And I kind of
Hmm.
bled through in my music in a way where I think that's why a lot of my business oriented responsibleness like just comes from being the oldest. And
Hmm.
so from that perspective, I'm thankful. But then that other aspect, I felt like I had to keep it together. And then because of that, it kind of bled into my shyness that kind of go hand in hand, that lack of
It it
vulnerability.
it
Yeah,
felt like a weight or
a
a
weight.
burden, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And
I,
I have other friends, my other girlfriends, they're the oldest in their family too. And they were like, why aren't a lot of people talking about this? Not until TikTok came around.
hmm.
And it's I'm gonna give a shout out to Taylor Swift. She talks about being the eldest too in her
Hmm.
family. Um, and for me, I felt like I really had to operate by being like a protector, kind of a provider in
Hmm.
a way for my brothers. So I was kind of operating out of my what's the term, like a femininity per
Right.
se. Yeah, and I felt like I just had to keep it together, lack of vulnerability, but music gave me that. So um yeah, I'm glad that you asked that question because I don't talk about
Do you feel
this
that
often.
more pressure is put on young women being the eldest than the eldest son?
Ooh. No, no, not really. I feel like they're both pretty similar experiences for sure,
Hmm.
but I can't speak upon the behalf of the
Right,
eldest
right,
sons.
right.
My dad is actually the oldest.
Hmm.
So him and I, we actually talk about it all the time. And for him, his experiences were quite similar. And my mom is the oldest too.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Now, have you always felt that? Well, let's call it pressure. Have you felt that pressure, or did you just start realizing it and kind of thinking about it since that the videos and the trends that you saw on TikTok?
Mm, I've always felt it growing up, but I refused to acknowledge it because I acknowledged it so privately.
Hmm.
And when I finally saw it, everybody talking about it on TikTok, that's when I finally publicly acknowledged it. And I started to talk about it with my friends. And I started to ask them, are you the oldest in their family? And if so, like, how was that for you? And they were telling me, yeah, I think one of my friends, she came from a single parent family and she had to
Hmm.
be the other parent.
Hmm.
And for me, I kind of relate because my parents actually they got divorced when I was, see, 14.
Hmm.
And so I had to step up in some ways and be that other parent sometimes. So
And were you living with
yeah,
dad or mom?
mom,
Okay.
living with mom. Yeah.
So you had to be the other kind of disciplinarian to the younger brothers
Yeah.
in a
And
way.
I felt more mature than my peers at such a young age. Like I remember
Hmm.
when I was 14, that's when, oh crap, I started to shift into a more responsible. I felt like I was like 20 something
Hmm.
for my age. And even at school, like a lot of people's first impression of you, they were like, Lexi, like you seem so serious at first, but then once we get to know you, it's like, oh, you're actually fun. I'm like, oh,
Right.
what a compliment.
So you had
Yeah.
responsibilities on your mind beyond what your peer group had.
Yeah, I felt that way. And I I've heard the word responsibility growing up all my life. Like my
Hmm.
parents would say, Lexi's the responsible and Lexi always says the right thing. And then because when your parents tell you these things, it's like I have to live up to it.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you have to live up to that even today?
I would say today less so because I feel like now I'm a young woman and I have free will and
Hmm.
I'm allowed to be who I want to be. But definitely as a kid, I feel like a lot of us when we're kids, we where do we first learn to experience love from our parents, right?
Right.
So as a kid, I needed that
Hmm.
validation. But yeah, I've evolved and I've changed. So Yeah. What can I say?
And just brush the dirt off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Uh, that's good stuff. I had not seen or heard that, but maybe that's not my demographic. But I thank you for
Mm,
sharing that.
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I have daughters, so I'm sure that I can
Oh,
ask them about it and see what their takes on it are.
how
You know
interesting.
what? I think my oldest would probably say the same thing as you. I
Oh,
think so.
you have an oldest
Yeah,
daughter,
my
so
my my oldest child is a young lady. So
oh
yeah, she
wow.
probably
Okay.
would feel that same pressure that you probably felt when I speak to her.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
What else? Do you have I just want to make sure I'm promoting anything you might have coming up.
Mm,
Is there
okay.
anything coming up that you might want to talk about? And then we'll
Yeah,
do like some last words. Okay, so
mm,
and I'll just run through it with the mock of. Okay, so yeah, before you let you go, anything you got coming up that people should be aware of?
yeah, I have two shows coming up. They're in the Seattle area. I'm actually doing a show at the Hidden Hall. It's a huge venue at the Fremont, Seattle area. It's called Fall into Sound. Emmanuel Brown, he is a hip hop rapper. He's the headliner, but we're having three other people part of that lineup, and I'm included in that with Mosea. She's an R&B singer, and Sari Savvy. He's an R&B and pop singer, and it's gonna be really fun. I'm also gonna be selling my merch there for the first time. We're gonna be opening up my merch store, so that's
Okay.
super excited about that. Tickets
What
are
kind of
13.
merch do you have?
Um,
T-shirts, what you got?
t-shirts, bucket hats. Bucket hats are a big thing in my generation right now.
Yes, yes, yes.
Regular hats, and then tote bags. So yeah, that one's
Cool,
gonna be really
cool.
exciting. All pink. We gotta keep it
All pink,
consistent.
of course. Of
Yeah.
course, of course.
Tickets ahead of time for this event are $13, but then day of they're 15 at the door. Online it's $18, but we recommend the $13 ahead of time. But show at Winterfest for the second year in a row at the Seattle Center's Armory stage. And I'm going to be doing a 45-minute set with my band. We're going to be doing a mix of Christmas covers and originals. So that's going to be on December 21st at 1 p.m. And
Hmm.
then, oh, my bad. I forgot to say the first show that I stated, the Fall into Sound, that's going to be on Sunday, November 30th,
November 30th.
where
Okay.
doors open at 7. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. And I'll get those links from you. And put those in there in along with the video as well. Any parting words that you want to share?
Mm, yeah. So I would say, hmm, I would say to everybody, just keep being authentically you. Life is too short to not be yourself. And if you have a dream, be in it for the long run. Keep reminding yourself why you started in the first place and tap into the power of dreaming, pairing it with doing and pairing it with action. So, yeah. And
Good
thanks again,
stuff.
Gino, for having me today. It was a lot
Thank
of
you,
fun.
Lexi. I appreciate your time. It was great talking with you. Yo, if you enjoyed this episode, you gotta check out this next video. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You'll be the first to get all the new content, all the new motivational content, all the new music, and all the behind the scenes footage. You'll be the first to know what's going on. This is Music Therapy and Motivation. I'm your host, Gino Black. I want you to get activated, and I hope you stay motivated. Peace.